Remember when wingers used to be the rock stars of football? The flashy, unpredictable dribblers who'd send defenders to the shops before bending one into the top corner. Think prime Ronaldinho, Robben, Hazard, and even Neymar at Barcelona. You gave these guys the ball and something magical happened. But now? While modern football has turned wingers into robots, you don't see the same freedom anymore. Instead of taking on defenders for fun, they're stuck pressing fullbacks, tracking runners, and following strict tactical instructions. So what the hell happened? How did system football kill off the real wingers? And is there any hope in bringing them back? Let's get into it. There was a time when wingers were football's ultimate wildcard, and their job? Well, it was to get the ball, run at defenders, and create chaos. They didn't just play within a system, they broke it. These were the guys who made football feel like magic, the ones who could take a game by the scruff of the neck, humiliate defenders with pure skill, and send the crowd into a frenzy. These players would play with a swagger, and they didn't just beat their man, they embarrassed them. But today, that kind of player barely exists at the top level. Instead of unpredictable dribblers, we have system wingers, players whose movements are pre-planned and whose roles are carefully scripted. Instead of expressing themselves, they're told to maximise efficiency. Take the obvious Jack Grealish example. At Villa, he was a maverick, and every time he got the ball, you knew something exciting was about to happen, and he'd glide past defenders like they weren't even there, force fouls, and carry his team on his back. He played like an artist, completely unpredictable and completely in control. But at Man City, he's a cog in a machine. And now don't get me wrong, he's still a great player. But if you look at how his game has changed, instead of taking defenders on for fun, he's told to hold the width, recycle possession, and avoid taking too many risks. He gets the ball, moves it inside, and keeps it simple. And here's the craziest part. On the rare occasion he does try something more adventurous, you can almost feel Pep Guardiola screaming at him from the sideline to play it safe. And this isn't just a Grealish problem, it's a modern football problem. Think about wingers like Leroy Sané, Kingsley Coman, and even Jadon Sancho. These guys thrive on 1v1 situations, yet they often find themselves shackled by tactical instructions. They're not being encouraged to take risks, they're being coached to fit into a structured system. And that's where we need to ask the big question. If Ronaldinho came through today, would he even be allowed to be Ronaldinho? Would coaches let him drift across the pitch and play off instinct, humiliate defenders just for fun? Or would they tell him to press, track back, and prioritise positional play? Let's be honest, the modern game wouldn't tolerate a player like peak Ronaldinho. He'd be considered too risky, too inefficient, and too unpredictable. And it's not just Ronaldinho, look at Eden Hazard. At Chelsea he was unstoppable, one of the last true throwback wingers, and his dribbling was so good that defenders would double or triple up on him sometimes, and he'd still get past them. His game wasn't about raw pace, it was about movement, close control, and unpredictability. But as football evolved, even Hazard found it harder to maintain that style. At Madrid, of course, injuries played a role, but beyond that, the system just didn't suit his natural game. And in a world where he was surrounded by players who were equal or better than him, he didn't really have the luxury of being a player who didn't really press. And that would explain some of his struggles, alongside all the injuries. And that's the real issue here. The classic winger, the one who plays with complete freedom, is dying out. Think about the last few Champions League winners. Bayern Munich in 2020, Liverpool in 2019, Real Madrid in 2018. If you think about the last few Champions League winners, did any of those teams really rely on a player whose main job was dribbling past opponents? Not really. Sure, Cristiano Ronaldo was in the Madrid side a few years ago, but by that point he wasn't the flashy step-over-obsessed winger from his Manchester United days. He was a pure goal machine. And that's the key. The best teams in the world don't build around individual dribblers anymore. They win through collective systems, efficiency, and relentless pressing. And that's the problem. The football world is shifting towards structure and control. Teams would rather have hard-working wingers who follow instructions than flair players who take risks. So the question is, why is this happening? What changed? Well, let's break it down. Football isn't just about talent, it's about trends. The way the game is played today is completely different from 20, even 10 years ago. And the big reason for that is tactics have evolved. We've seen different tactical eras shape football. In the 1960s and 70s, you had Catenaccio, where defenders were king and creativity was almost suffocated. Then came the 90s and early 2000s, when football was all about raw attacking talent, and it was an era where number 10s and tricky wingers ruled the game. But then, everything changed. Somewhere around the late 2000s, football stopped being about individual brilliance and started becoming about systems, tactical setups designed to maximise efficiency, minimise risk, and create dominance through structure rather than improvisation. The shift started with Barcelona's tiki-taka revolution under Pep Guardiola. That team wasn't just good, they changed football. Possession became an obsession. Every player had to be technically perfect, and the system became bigger than the individuals. The focus shifted from players dribbling past defenders to quick passing sequences, pressing, and positional play. But the real game changer, well, that was Jurgen Klopp's gegenpressing and the rise of high-intensity football. Suddenly, football became a war of work rate, pressing, and tactical discipline. The best teams weren't just the ones who were the most talented. It was the ones that ran the most, pressed the hardest, and controlled space the best. And in that kind of system, flair players, especially wingers, started to disappear. Think about it. If you're a coach in today's game, what kind of winger do you want? A free-spirited dribbler who might lose the ball trying to beat 3 defenders, or a hard-working, tactically disciplined player who makes the right runs, follows instructions, and presses relentlessly? Well, the answer's obvious. That's why managers today prioritise wingers who fit the system, not wingers who play off instinct, as they're way more unpredictable. Take Mo Salah and Mane at Liverpool. They're both incredible players, but their game is built around efficiency and less around improvisation. They don't want to waste time dribbling for the sake of it. They make very calculated runs, press like animals, and focus on end product. Compare that to someone like Jadon Sancho. At Dortmund, he was one of Europe's most exciting wingers, and he played with a freedom, took defenders on, and racked up ridiculous numbers in goals and assists. But when he moved to Manchester United, and more recently Chelsea, you can see he's struggling a little bit with the more structured, high-intensity system. Why? Well, it's because modern tactics don't give him the same level of freedom. He wasn't asked to express himself. He's being asked to fit into a tactical shape. And it's not just Sancho. This is happening to wingers all over the world. And another major shift? Well, the role of wingers has completely changed. In the past, wingers were true wide men, and their job was to hug the touchline, beat their marker, and whip in a cross. Think of your David Beckhams, Ryan Giggses, and even early Cristiano Ronaldo. But now, that type of winger barely exists. Today, most elite wingers are inverted wingers. They cut inside, play way closer to goal, and focus on scoring rather than creating. Instead of hugging the touchline, they're playing in half spaces, making diagonal runs, and pressing aggressively. And this isn't by accident, it's by design. Coaches realise that cutting inside is more efficient than crossing, and the numbers back it up. A winger who drives inside has a better chance of creating a goal-scoring opportunity than one who stays wide and delivers a cross. That's why so many top teams now play with inverted wingers who focus on movement, pressing, and efficiency rather than pure dribbling. Look at Vinicius Jr. He's one of the true few dribbling wingers left at the top level, but even his role is different. He's not asked to hug the touchline and cross, he's asked to attack the space and create direct goal-scoring chances. And it was the same with Mbappe at PSG. He played wide, but his job wasn't really to beat defenders one-on-one, it was to get into goal-scoring positions as quickly as possible. This tactical shift isn't about style, it's about data. It's almost like football's being played on a spreadsheet. Every pass, every dribble, every decision is tracked, analysed and turned into data. And that's where the problem starts, because when clubs and managers rely on numbers to dictate how football should be played, the risk takers, the players who bring unpredictability, start to fade away. Think about it, if you're a coach today, do you want a winger who constantly tries to dribble past defenders, even if it means losing the ball? Or do you want a winger who keeps things simple, makes the right runs, and follows tactical instructions? The stats will tell you that the second player is more efficient, and in modern football, efficiency is king. This is exactly why you don't see as many wingers taking defenders on like before. Dribbling is risky, and the numbers back that up. If a player attempts 10 dribbles but only completes 3, the analytics will say that he's wasting possession. So instead of encouraging flair, coaches tell players to focus on safer, high percentage plays, quick passes, smart movement and pressing. With football becoming more structured, pressing becomes a priority, and dribbling is seen as risky. It feels like the days of free-spirited wingers are truly over. But is it really? And are we never going to see another Ronaldinho, Hazard or Robben? Not necessarily. There are still wingers out there that keep the magic alive. You just have to look in the right places. Take Vinicius Jr. as I mentioned earlier. If you want proof that dribblers can still thrive in modern football, he's your guy. At Real Madrid, he's been given the full license to take defenders on and play off instinct and create something out of nothing. He doesn't just fit into a system, he is the system. Because Ancelotti lets him be Vinicius Jr. Unlike at other top clubs where managers demand strict positional play, Ancelotti allows for individual brilliance to shine. Vinicius Jr. doesn't have to worry about pressing like crazy or making these robotic runs. His job is simple: get the ball, run at defenders and make things happen. And now we're seeing similar things with Lamine Yamal. The kid's only 16, but he's already showing flashes of the old school winger, taking on defenders, trying ridiculous dribbles, and playing with the kind of confidence that you don't see in young players anymore. And just recently, he completed 11 successful dribbles in a single game for Barcelona, the most since the teenage Messi. And the most exciting part? Barcelona are letting him play his natural game, and this is what makes the difference. Some coaches still believe in letting their players express themselves, specifically Ancelotti at Madrid. But let's be real, not every talented dribbler is going to end up in a team like Madrid. Some will be forced to adapt, and some will have their creativity coached out of them, and that's just the reality of modern football. But if there's one thing we know, is that the fans still love watching players who take risks, who go past defenders, and who bring the excitement back into the game. And as long as that's the case, dribblers will always have a place in football. They just need to find the right coach, the right team, and the right system that allows them to shine. Maybe the real question isn't can dribblers survive, it's will more coaches allow them to? Because if we had more managers willing to let players be themselves, football might just become fun again. And that's it for today's video. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.